Hey, how's it going? Dave 2D here. So Asus makes the Zenbook line. They have big ones, they have small ones, and this is their latest thin and light Ultrabook. It's the S13, and what makes this device special is the very thin bezels. So this device has what I think are the thinnest bezels on an Ultrabook like this, and they've done it to fit a relatively large screen on a smaller chassis. So this is a 13.9-inch screen on a chassis that would traditionally only hold a 13-inch screen, so it's a bigger screen for a smaller footprint. And in doing so, they've been forced to make this notch or hump thing at the top of the screen. Now, for most people, they're gonna look at this notch or hump and it looks weird, right? This is not how normal laptops are built. So when I first saw this thing in pictures at CES, I was like, that's weird, right? I don't know if I love this design, but having used this for a little while, I don't find it that offensive. Like when you have it closed, it serves as a little grip or some kind of tab to lift the screen, and it works, but it's weird because there's a protrusion on the device, and it's just most devices, like most laptops, don't have protrusions like this, but I appreciate what they're trying to do. Now, the reason why they have this protrusion is because they had to house the camera at the top of the screen, and they've done it in a way that looks reasonably nice, but it is strange to have a protrusion at the top of a laptop screen. Now, the display itself is quite nice. It's a 1080p screen, color accurate, very bright, 400 nits. It's brighter than a lot of other 1080p screens I've used in the Ultrabook market, and because of the hinge, it almost hides the bottom bezel completely and gives you a very clean looking visual. The port selection is okay. There's two USB-C, one USB-A. The USB-Cs do not support Thunderbolt 3, which is a bit of a shame. There's micro SD and a headphone jack. There's one thing that I like about the Zenbook, which other older Zenbooks don't have. It's the fact that they include a USB-C charger. All the older Zenbooks have used their barrel plugs, which I honestly hate for 2018 and 2019. They finally switched over to a regular USB-C, like universal charging, and that's pretty nice. Okay, keyboard trackpad. It lifts the back of the device. They call it ergo lift. Like when you lift it up, it's got this tilt. Some people hate this, some people really like it. Personally, I find it enjoyable, the tilt. It's very slight. I know a lot of people are like, hey, you know, when you have tilted keyboards, it's super annoying, it gives you carpal tunnel. It's such a slight tilt. It's probably like 2-3 degrees. It's very slight, and I think for most people they will enjoy it, but it's something that you should probably try in a store if you can before you kind of commit to this keyboard. But the actual typing experience is good layout, nice and spacious. The keystrokes are a little bit softer, like the mechanism that they're using to bounce the key back up could be a little bit stiffer, but I think most people get used to this really easily. Now, the trackpad has Windows Precision drivers. It's a nice trackpad, but they have this option where you can get a illuminated keypad on the trackpad. Now, it looks really cool in pictures and videos, but having used it on other devices that they make, it's not as useful as you might think. So the reason why you would want a number pad in the first place is for speed of numerical inputs, right? You'd think that by pressing the numbers, it'd be easier than using the numbers at the top of the keyboard, and in theory it would be. The problem is that there's no tactile feedback when you press the numbers on the trackpad, and there's a bit of input lag when you press it, so it's cool in theory, but in its current state, at least the last version that I tried, it's pretty mediocre. It's really cool looking, but like I said in the previous video, don't purchase this device just for that numerical light up pad. Okay. Performance. The CPU on this thing is the 8th gen Whiskey Lake. It turbos a little bit faster than the previous generation, but it's still an 8th gen CPU and it's still a 4-core CPU. The GPU in here is an MX150. Now this particular unit, I believe, is running a 25 watt version. It clocks pretty fast and the 3D Mark scores are in line with a 25 watt version, but this is an engineering sample, so I'm not sure how the retail units will play out. But despite the MX150 with a pretty powerful CPU, there is a relatively large problem on this device, and it's the thermals. So this device has 2 fans, and when it's idle, it's pretty much silent, which is great, but even when it's running benchmarks, it's still very quiet, and it shouldn't be, because the processor in here, both the CPU and the GPU, are capable of pushing out a lot of performance and a lot of heat. The thing is, I ran some fan control on this, so I ran some manual fan control software, and the fans can get quite loud, and when they do, thermals are great. The problem is, in its current state, there's no way to control those fans through Asus's software suite. They actually don't have any kind of manual fan control. And I get it, it's a Zenbook, it's not like a gaming device, but it's capable of pushing out decent frame rates in games. But because of the thermal situation this is put in, it can't. Now, I'm not sure if Asus is doing this because they don't want it to be too loud for the user, or they don't want it too complicated to have the user switch between fan profiles and stuff, but there are a lot of users, I know some of you guys are like, you would use something like this. You want a device that has an MX150 and a quad-core CPU that can play games a little bit on the side, but this is so gimped because of the fans. Inside there, you're also seeing a replaceable NVMe, but the RAM and the Wi-Fi card are built on board. It's a 50 watt-hour battery, got a little bit less than 7 hours of battery life with the screen at 250 nits. Now this is an engineering sample. I feel like that the retail version will probably tweak that a little bit better, but in its current state, a little bit less than 7 hours. Speakers are good. They're not amazingly positioned. They're on the bottom, and because of the ergo lift, there's this like chamber of emptiness underneath that the sound kind of reverbs a little bit. It's reasonably loud, but it's not super clean audio. Now, a device like this, if you're interested in buying one, the pricing, I'm not sure yet. I'm imagining it's gonna be like around $1,000 for base. Like that's always where the Zenbooks, the 13 and 14 inch Zenbooks kind of start. If you're interested in buying this, you're probably looking at stuff like the XPS 13 or the Razer Blade Stealth, and those are all great devices. The advantage here is without a doubt the aesthetic. Like that super thin bezel is something that's quite unique to this, but it's hard to recommend one of these over another. They're all really good. This hump, I think most people just kind of get used to it. I don't think that this is like, it may look strange at first, but once you own it, I think most people are like, it looks fine. The device on the whole, great hardware. I just wish there was some kind of software for fan control so that for users who really want that extra kick out of their system, that they could get it, but in its current form, you can't. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.